Good day out there, and I'd like to welcome all of you to It's Your Way in Your Way podcast. And for those new listeners out there, my name is Cassandra Crawley Mayo, and I am your host. And I always share with individuals what an interesting name of the podcast. Now, think about it for a minute. Is your way in your way? And actually, that's the title of my debut book. And I am certainly qualified to even talk about this because I've been in my way, it seems like all my life. And I'm still a work in progress. There's sometimes that I am in my way, but right now I'm kind of aware of it. Okay. So, anyway, initially I said this podcast was about empowering women. And you know what? It's actually more than that. It's actually a podcast about what I would call freedom. Freedom from those old thoughts, freedom from those regrets, freedom from my childhood, freedom from my relationships. It's just getting free. And that's kind of is the what I would say the premises for my podcast. It helps you identify and overcome those internal barriers that's preventing you from living the life that you're ordained to live. Period. That's it. And you know what? And so many of us work hard, achieve a lot of success. We're so-called checking all the boxes. We've done this and, we've done what they said back in the day. We went to school, we got married, all of that. We got the white picket fence, all of that kind of stuff. But we wonder why we keep repeating the same patterns, making the same choices and just settling for less than what we truly desire. So today's conversation may answer that question. And I'm going to introduce you to our guest today. I'm so excited about her, and you will find out in a few minutes. Good day, Janylène. How are you?
I'm very well, and I'm very pleased to be here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Thank you for inviting me.
You are very welcome. And for my listeners, I am going to call her JT just for
Yeah.
the record. Okay. So when you're like, I thought her name was Janylène, I'm like, Lean, it is, but I'm gonna call her JT because I feel like I know her pretty good now. now, now, JT is an executive coach, a clinical hypnotherapist who believes that the greatest transformation doesn't begin with changing your circumstances. It begins with changing your subconscious belief. Subconscious beliefs is possible. So, in other words, changing what your subconscious believes is possible. If you've ever felt stuck, even while appearing successful, this conversation again just might help you discover why, and more importantly, how do you move forward from all of that stuff? You know, and prior to me and JT having a conversation, I want to share a little bit about her bio so that you may understand what is qualifying her to even talk about what we're going to talk about. And also that will help you perhaps move beyond all of those beliefs that you used to have and those patterns you've been sticking with for many years. She is a certified executive coach, clinical hypnotherapist, and former HR executive with more than 25 years of experience. She's leading organizational transformation at global companies, including Deloitte and HSBC. She helps entrepreneurs and senior leaders break free from subconscious patterns and keep them stuck using her signature program, Peel Back, Rewire, and Rise methodology. Now, so by combining her executive coaching, her rapid transformational therapy, and somatic practices, she empowers high achievers to stop settling and confidently step into the life that they were created to live. So, guys, you can see how many of what JT does really corresponds a lot with us being in our way. And also, I want to ask her this first of all. JT has been, first of all, so we're gonna date each other. She used to sell encyclopedias. Now I don't know if you all even heard of encyclopedias, but I have, and I used to use those when I was preparing for classes and history and all of that. But check it out. She used to sell them. She also, I would say, she was a fixer. It sounded like to me, even though I didn't read that in her background, she sounds like a OD person, which I call organizational developer. And that's what I did. I got my master's in organizational development. And that all that means is she helps people, she fixes people. She helps people from a transition to a transformation. She was in boardrooms, banks, and all of that. And as you heard me say, she worked 25 years in the corporate world and senior roles. So I want to know, JT, by you working, probably selling encyclopedias, how was that working for you in this 25-year corporate situation?
Well, selling encyclopedia, I have a love story with encyclopedia, and I'm going to get into it. But before that, I just want to go back to something you said about fixing people. So unfortunately, I was never a fixer. I never had that mindset of fixing people because I don't believe people are broken to start with. So to start with, my belief is, and this is my belief, it's word for word, is that we are where we are for good reasons. And that's the best place, that's our place. This is where we are. We're not broken. We could continue to live our life the way we do, or we could choose other paths and other life and human experiences. So I never have this kind of fixing mindset, which is very good when you're an HR executive, because I never had kind of people, waiting at my door for me to fix them or fix their problems. So
Okay. All right.
So to go back to encyclopedia, when I was a child, my way to bond and to connect with my father was through reading. So my father was an avid reader, and whenever I had a question, he would tell me, go to the encyclopedia, read it, and come and tell me. So I was working my research skills, my memory skills, because I had to verbatim tell him what I read. And then he would poke me again and say, oh, I wonder if, and I would have to go again, look it up. And I could go like this for hours with him. So that was for me a way to bond. That was a way to connect to my father. So I guess when I was 18, 19, I traveled to Western Canada. And I left Quebec with $100, hitchhike across Canada, and eventually ran out of money.
Yeah.
I was working in restaurants and everything, and eventually I hit Vancouver, and there was a advertisement for a job, and I went there and I started to sell encyclopedia. And at the time, I didn't speak English as much as I do now. So this is how I've learned to. But going to knock on doors,
yes,
just develops so much skill set. Like you learn confidence. You also learn to read people. Like going into people's place.
yes.
Like it's funny. So many years later, I would meet somebody, and I could just imagine how their house were inside.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I had that kind of insights at the time. So that was my and I did very well, actually. Paid my study. I won trips and awards. So selling as a skill, it's something that will serve you all your life, whatever you do.
Yes.
Selling ideas, influencing, selling ideas. I would say to anyone, if you can develop that skill set early on,
yes,
the travel, and you'll be able to, to make a living out of it no matter what happens. So
Okay, that's good. I remember working for someone, and he always said everybody's a salesperson. And
yeah.
I used to like, I'm not in sales. He says, yes, you are. And it took me a little while to get it, but he's right. I mean, it's even people that have children. It shouldn't even be selling, but you have to get them to see your point of view, and just
Exactly.
it entails a whole lot of stuff. I want to go back a bit, and I appreciate you. Um, I stand corrected when I say fix, and you're certainly correct. And what I should have said, and I'm going to say now, that you led people from a transition to a transformation. And you're right. You can't fix anybody, but you can lead them, and it's up to them to. It's like I can take the horse to the water, but I can't make them drink it.
Exactly.
So thank you. Okay, so back to my question about you working in corporate for 25 years. How was that working for corporate? How was that experience for you?
I've had, I think, the most amazing career and experience for, I think, three good reasons. The first one was I got mentors and people I work for who were top of the class. Like my first HR um, boss, VP, um, I didn't have yet my paper. I was still in school.
Okay.
Uh, she had me in an interview and she said, "You don't have the paper yet. You don't have the experience, but you have all the right answer. I know you can do that." And she gave
Oh,
me the
nice.
job, right? She gave me the job. She was at the end of her career. I spent 5 years with her. And it's like if I would have spent 20 years, like she was giving me, so much confidence, and she was trusting me, and she was entrusting me, and she was correcting me. I'll always remember. I had a meeting with a VP, and she said how it goes. I said, "Oh, I asked him to come," and then she said, "You go to the VP. Your rank is lower than him. You go to him. You don't
Oh,
ask him to come to you."
okay.
She was always like she was really as teaching me a lot of things,
Hmm.
a lot of political skills, technical skills, relationship skills. So I spent 5 years with her. So
Wow.
after that, again, I uh, I did a merger, and so two law firms were merging, one
Uh-huh.
from Toronto, one from Montreal. And the person who had me in interview said, "Oh, you never done it, but I know you can do that."
Oh,
Again,
wow. Another one.
yeah, so again, I had
Okay.
that mandate of amalgamating the two law firms. That was an amazing experience. I loved it. So I was always in between. And then after that, I got at banks and at professional firms, and always in between. That we're having a transformation,
Yes.
and we're giving you've never done it, but that's okay. I'm sure you can do it. So that's the first thing I would say
Wow.
that's been great for me in the corporate world. It's
Okay.
really everybody that trusted that I could do it, even though I had never done it. So that's the first thing.
Wow.
The second thing that's been fantastic for me in the corporate world was the connections.
Hmm.
At the end of those 25 years, I had a network of people I really had developed
Yeah.
amazing relationship with. Real relationship, not people that you call like, 5 years after that you hardly ever spoke to and you ask for
Right.
something. No, people that you really went for coffee and shared information, people who invited you to their wedding, people that
Yeah.
you went for walks and had
Yeah.
conversations, that I really had developed a wide quality network. So, and
Awesome.
that really helped me later to start my business, right?
Hmm.
I would say when there was a restructuring and I lost my job at the end, um, the number of people who called me for coffee, see how I was doing, the number of people who pushed me to interviews to their friends or
Uh-huh.
companies they knew or things like that. So the network was the second thing in my corporate experience. And the third thing
Hmm.
is really the variety of men, the variety of things that I have done, exposure, exposure to best. in class, in so many things, working with so many people. Like, so my corporate experience was really, I would say, a very complete and fulfilling experience.
Well, JT, did you say your third was working with men? I didn't understand.
No, working with working with very smart people, like,
Smart
and
people.
having those very, I would say, very amazing mandate. Like,
Mandate.
those
Okay.
mandates, those projects that they throw you, okay, we're doing a global transformation and we're changing this and that, and we're having this new, it's really funny. We had no, at the end where I was, the no office way before COVID. Way before COVID, we were working from home.
Oh,
So
wow. Remotely.
well, I really can say that I've been very fortunate. I had an amazing career.
Wow. You said some critical things that I like my listeners to just um, think about, particularly where they are now and where they had been prior. First of all, you had a mentor and not just one. It sounds like you had many. And
Yes.
that is critical in any situation that you are in. Corporate, just a regular job. What I wouldn't say regular job, government job, whatever. It's just good to have allies, sponsors, and then relationships. I've always said critical. They should be deep and they should be wide. And I think that encyclopedia thing and your dad, I think, was a major influence because you had the confidence because you got the knowledge, and then particularly when people say, I know you can do this. You don't have the paperwork, but I know. I'm like, wow. And it's not many of my listeners that probably have experienced what you've experienced. And also you surrounded yourself, and I always say for myself, I have what I call board of directors, personal board of directors, people that are in my circle, for different things, for finance, attorneys, my spiritual partners, my best friends. All of them are in my circle, and it's important to have the right people in your circle because they can make you or they can break you. So those are three things that I like my listeners to hone in on, how critical that is. I've always said that. And then as a result of that, as we move further, based on the relationships you've had, I'm certain it's helped your business that you currently have. But this is my question to you. You said something about when you were let go. In other words, it was like the rug got pulled from under you. You've been working,
Yes.
or what you call it, of the person you were performing. It wasn't you. You were performing, you said, for 25 years. Um, did you feel while you were performing, even though you had some good things happen to you in corporate America, did you feel there was something else for you to do when that rug got pulled from under you? I know you said I didn't really know who I was. I mean, first of all, my identity kind of fluctuated a little bit, but I'm
Yeah.
curious, was it something that you knew in your heart of hearts that you should be doing?
Well, the story goes that with the years, the rampant, I had an addiction with alcohol, and that
Mhm.
was a rampant. I was very tired. I think I was, although it was a great career, I was very tired. I think
Okay.
that alcohol part of it, emotional disruption. And
Mhm.
when the news came, I was just coming back from an ashram in the Bahamas where I did yoga and
Mhm.
meditation for a week. And I had, didn't drink for a week, although first time off the ashram, I hit the first bar for sure. But I mean,
Wow.
I did experience a week without alcohol, and um, and so I came back. I was very grounded, but I was profoundly tired,
Mhm.
and probably on the verge of an undiagnosed burnout. But it was a big restructuring. We knew it was coming. So when I had the meeting, my boss flew in from Toronto. It was done in the most respectful way. We
Okay.
smiled. Okay, that's it, right? Um, But then suddenly what happened to me is, and what happened to many people in those corporate jobs, is that your calendar is filled like almost a year in advance. You know, you're going to go to that conference, you have that meeting, you have your recurrent meeting, you have
Right.
projects.
That's
And
correct.
then suddenly, two things left. My identity coach. So I was my job. I was
Mhm.
talking about my job all the time. I was wearing the color of my employer. I was it. I was breathing and living it and believing that this was the best thing in the world, and it was a
Mhm.
great thing.
Mhm.
And then my calendar emptied totally. So I woke up one day and that feeling of not knowing
Mhm.
what is on the agenda tomorrow, the day after, the other day was the scariest thing ever.
Mm.
No identity, no agenda, and alcohol problem. So what do you think I did? I drank more and
That's
more
right.
and more.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
Right?
That's right.
This became, I would say, that the last push, the last chapter of my drinking. Uh, and it's been 9 years sober now, but that's really when I took my last, I would say, hit. I started drinking more and more and earlier until it was no longer possible.
Okay. What was it that made you stop? I mean,
So
first of all, this is what I want to say.
yes,
Based on you getting laid off or downsized or whatever, there are many of us that have gone through that.
yeah,
And many of us have felt like you felt like, okay, now what am I going to do tomorrow? So I'm sorry that happened to you, but it was a reason why it happened to you. And
oh
it's just
yeah.
like it's going to be a reason for my listeners when they hear your story.
Yeah. So it's very funny because I had that big network. 3 days later, I was interviewing for a VP role in a bank. And I always remember because it was raining outside and I went to the interview and I drew a blank. I could not, I was an HR executive. I led talent acquisition team. I aced interview.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
why people always gave me the job, although I never did it. But
Right.
then I drew a blank. I couldn't say, there was not an intelligent word that came out of me. Even I was saying the most, sabotaging answer you can ever imagine.
Yes.
I drew a blank. I got off the interview. I didn't need them to tell me that
You
I
didn't get
didn't need them to tell me that I was not retained. I knew it. And I was walking home and it became so clear. This is not another executive job that you need. It's a life transformation. And
Mm.
it became like a moment of clarity where I didn't even think about fighting with the idea because it was so clear that I
Okay.
had done my time in HR. I was fed up with it, but I just could not say
Wow.
it because if I
Yeah.
would have admitted, I
Yeah.
would have had to do something about it. So, so I kept it well hidden behind me, behind under the rug, but I was ready for something else. So life gave me the opportunity.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Now you're doing something totally different. um, and I'd like my audience to hear that, my listeners, I would say, but I would like for you to tell me and my audience more about the space between what people consciously want and what their deeper programming keeps telling them that they want. Because I'm thinking that this may be part of why you are doing what you're doing now.
Yeah. So if I understand well your question, you want me to say what is that we're thinking we want something, but how
Right.
to uncover what we
That's right.
really, you
Absolutely.
know, yeah.
Yes.
It is really about the subconscious, unconscious belief and story we tell ourselves. I know you had a few podcasts around the story we tell
Yep.
ourselves. And so sometimes for many good reasons, like for me, it was for security because I wanted to have a career that offered security. So I had the belief, many people were telling me you should have your business, you're already a certified coach, you should have your coaching practice, etc. You're so good, blah, blah, blah. And I would always say, no, I prefer my security. And so the thoughts that were feeding that was, I can't make it on my own. I need a bigger person or a bigger enterprise behind me. I'm not enough, whatever. So all the stories that I was telling myself subconsciously that were keeping me there.
JT, wait 1 second. When you say security, tell us about that. What do you mean security? You wanted a 9 to, I mean, you didn't have a 9 to 5 job, but you wanted a sure thing. You want to get a check? Benefits?
Yeah, so my father was in sales, right? And my father had done many different careers in his life. And sometimes we were struggling. So sometimes, and I hated it. I hated his answers when I asked him for something like, I don't know, it depends how much money I'm going to make this month. And now we have a lot of money and we do a lot of things. And now we have less money and we do less things. And I hated that. I hated it with a passion. And I wanted something steady. I wanted to know how much money I was going to get every month or every week or every 2 weeks.
Right.
I wanted to have the benefits and I wanted to know where I was.
Right. Exactly. Yes, I get it. Okay. All right.
What the story that was feeding that was really subconsciously like, I can't make it on my own. I'm not. And despite all the people telling me and seeing things in me that I didn't see for myself, I kept saying, I prefer my security. I prefer to stay there.
That's correct. Okay. So in other words, you were in your own way.
I was in my own
do this. I don't do. How did you break? How did you come about removing that?
So we transform 2 ways. There's 2 ways to do that. Either you go under hypnosis or other kind of modalities and you rewire. So you know that basically we feel what we believe. Neurosciences has proven that we feel what we believe. So if you have a belief, this brings you an emotion. This emotion brings you into action, and those actions becomes your life. So if you change your beliefs, you change your emotion, you change your actions, you change your life. So that's one way of transforming.
Right. Give us an example of a belief and an action. Name something specific.
Yeah, I'm going to take something very simple, the fear of public speaking. I have many clients that have the fear of public speaking. They don't apply to a certain role. They don't take certain opportunities because they're going to have to speak in public. So I have a lot of clients doing that. So let's say I have the belief that I'm going to be ridiculed. People are going to laugh at me. I'm not interesting. So I'm gonna tell her I'm not interesting. People are not interested in what I'm saying, and that's all subconscious. Then I'm gonna start to be nervous. My body's gonna be like this. I'm gonna be wet. I'm gonna sweat. I'm not gonna sleep before. And then my presentation is gonna, my voice is gonna be shaky. My posture is
okay. All right.
If I change that belief by people love to hear what I have to say. I have so much to share. I'm so interesting. I'm indifferent to them when they look at their phone or when they go to the bathroom, when I speak. And then that brings me into a different posture. That brings me into a different emotion. I'm proud. I'm confident. And when I go on the stage, that is reflected in my voice and my posture and everything. So that's one way to change. Transform is to change the belief. The other way to transform that we always neglect is to go into action. It's like jump in the pool.
Right. That's right.
The action is going to create a new belief, which is going to create a new emotion, which is going to create a new action. And if you do the 2 at the same time, you reprogram yourself and you go into action, you create a synergy. You create something that is so strong that one reinforces the other.
Okay. Now, I hear that, and a lot of people hear that. And, some people call it positive thinking. I don't know, like change your thoughts. But when you've been thinking this way for so long, you just like I shared this example with you when I was doing first doing a podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Oh no, no, who wants to hear me? Who am I? I'm not anybody famous. And I just went on and on and on. And then I took action. I did it. I did it afraid. I did it afraid. But there are individuals that just won't do it. What
Exactly.
do you have that gets them to do it? Number one, they have to want it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and what else?
So motivation is never enough, or rarely enough, or not always enough. Okay, but you went into action, so you started to change. You started to gain confidence, and you start to change your feeling about it, and that created a whole thing. That's
Right.
why I work with hypnosis. That's why I have chosen the modality of hypnosis. Why? Because when
Okay.
you're under hypnosis, you are in that state
Uh-huh.
where you're focused on one thing. Your hypervigilance is down, and you're no longer hearing that you're not good enough, you're not this, who are you, blah, 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 blah. And you say it's easier for you to rewire yourself, to change that dialogue, that inner dialogue, to rewire it. And how we rewire it, we practice. So I'm going to give you again the example of public
Okay.
speaking. Let's say
Okay.
I have this person, and this person finds out that the belief that she has is I'm going to be ridiculed, because when she discovered that when she was in school, she spoke in front of the class, everybody started laughing at her, and since then she's afraid of being ridiculed. So first, we say, are you still 6 years old? Are you still in that class? You're no longer in that class. You're no longer 6 years old. So we really interrupt the dialogue. So the person sees that she no longer lives when she was 6 or 7 or 8 years old. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Second thing is we rehearse. We rehearse under hypnosis, being on a stage, seeing the people looking at you, having the accolades after and everything. So for the brain, the subconscious brain, we create a new experience. It has already happened for the
Mm-hmm.
subconscious mind. So when you go on the stage, it's
Mm-hmm.
no longer the old movie, because we've interrupted the old movie and replaced it with a new movie. And the new movie who's playing in your head is, people love to listen to me. People tell me I'm fantastic. They learn from what I have to say. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I want to share with them, because we have rehearsed it many times under hypnosis and created a new wire, that new neural.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I have always been fascinated by hypnosis. I've never, I think I tried it one time and it didn't work.
Hmm.
And um, what made you go into doing hypnosis?
Yeah, that's again
Intriguing.
a life threw it at me. So I never thought I would be a hypnotherapist, but I was already an ICF certified coach.
Uh-huh. And
So,
the
so
ICF
this
means what? Tell me.
International Coaching Federation,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
which is the highest,
Mm-hmm.
organization that certifies coach, gives you a. So one day I took, how when you're in transformation, I always say to people, and anytime anyway, be curious, go out there, try things, right?
Right.
And your subconscious mind is going to bring you to places, do things that are new. So I went to this NLP classes for one weekend, and there was a demonstration of hypnosis, and I always raised my hand to be a guinea pig, and I love the experience. And I said, okay, at the time I was sober, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a team around me. So I had, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, etc., who were helping me stay sober. And I
Okay.
said, oh, I'm going to hire this guy and take him on my team. So first session with him, I say, I've been sober for like a month or 2 months. I don't remember. And what can you do for me? How can you support me in my sobriety? So I did a session with this guy. I get out the session. And again, I see myself, I'm outside, it's sunny. And I'm like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I want people to feel the way I am feeling right now.
Wow.
I had what we call a spontaneous transformation, which happens, right? We change 3 ways, and one of the way we transform is spontaneously. So I had that spontaneous transformation where I felt radically different. I knew something that I didn't even know I had
Mm-hmm.
left me. and I was different, and I knew it was forever. Like I could feel it. So I started searching for hypnotherapy classes. I found my recipe. I went to Los Angeles, got trained by her, came back, started my business, and that's 7 years ago, and 1,500 sessions later. So,
wow, wow. What about individuals that are skeptic about it?
Yeah. So I think the first things comes with stage hypnosis. So people are very influenced by stage hypnosis, where you go and it's a show and you already know that you're going to do stupid things if you go on the stage. So people
Yeah.
already, and they know how to spot who is most influenceable and everything. So that's the first thing. I would say it's not stage hypnosis. The second thing is you go under hypnosis every day naturally. So it's a natural state. Kids up to the age of 7 almost live in that alpha mode. When you watch a movie and you're totally lost in the movie, and then you're like, oh my God, where was I for that last 2 hours? The time flew like that. Time is
Oh,
suspense.
that's that's an element of hypnosis because that's
Yeah,
all you're focused on.
that's a natural state of hypnosis. When you focus, let's say you focus on preparing when you studied, when you did your master, you're out there studying, and then suddenly somebody brings you coffee, and then you realize 3 hours later the coffee is cold. You don't even know how it got there because you were so focused in your work. That state of focus is really the state of hypnosis. You know
Wow.
how they say to journal just before you go to bed or just when you wake up in the morning, first thing? It's because you are in that state of
Okay.
hypnosis just before totally falling asleep, but before just being fully awake. So
Okay.
that's the natural state.
Okay.
Some people will not let other people hypnotize them, and that's okay. I say, okay, just close your eyes. We're going to go under relaxation and we're going to do the same tools, and they get fantastic results. Other people, they will say, wow, the more I work with you, the further I go. Oh my God, I was so far. They remember everything. If they have to go to the bathroom, they know. They tell me, Janylène, can we interrupt? I have to go to the bathroom. So they know. They can feel their body. They know, but they just go further. So it's also all about the relationship. The relationship of trust that we build together allow people to let themselves go, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
And there are people, yes, that will not, maybe over those 7 years, I have maybe 4 or 5 clients that, did not go under and don't want to go under, and that's fine. We don't really have to force anyone.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, I talked about, why I'm doing this podcast, and it's to help individuals to identify what are some of those internal beliefs that's preventing them from living a life that they were created to live. How do you get to the root of what's holding someone back? Because a lot of my listeners are listening because they're stuck. So
Yeah.
how would you, let's say you have one of my listeners is your client. How
Yeah.
would you get to the root of that?
Very simple. We ask the subconscious brain. So we bring them under, which is about 5 minutes. We do eye exercise, breathing exercise, visualization exercise, and then the person slowly go down. And let's say we're going to ask the brilliant mind, tell me why I can't speak in public. Tell me what is the key that I need to be able. And then the subconscious brain is going to bring you to those beliefs. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to see the beliefs, the subconscious, unconscious beliefs that you have. And we're going to rewire, interrupt them, rewire them. That's why I say uncover, rewire, rise,
Rise, yeah.
because you uncover first really what are the things that you believe that are false about yourself, about life. And then we rewire for something that you want, not me, not the
Right.
society. We find what you really want, not what Instagram want, what you
Right.
want, right?
That's
And then you
good.
rise, and then you're rising, you can contribute, you can impact others, you can, so that's the
Wow.
sequence.
So it's the same thing as someone in a toxic relationship and they
Yeah.
just can't get through it. It's kind of like your alcohol, the addiction. They know it's not good for them, but they just can't let it go. And you could, if this is something they wanted, you can do your hypnosis and help them with that.
Yes.
Because
So
you have to
depending,
find
yeah,
out what's the
absolutely.
root.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I in the 3 steps to transformation that I have developed, the first step is to have a team around you. So if the person is in a toxic relationship, she probably needs, like, very toxic, probably need more than just a hypnotherapist. And I'm just saying, just in terms of,
Okay.
that's one part of the thing, but you might need other specialists as well. For addiction, the same thing. I help a lot of people who want to stop drinking, but sometimes they're not yet in the, they have not hit rock bottom. They just want to stop drinking. If I
Mm.
suspect that there's very deeper addiction issue, they always have to see their doctor, and I make sure they have the right team around them. I was addicted myself. I'm still going to be an addict all my life. I mean, that's, the brain has been damaged in that
Mhm.
way, right? And so I needed other support. But yes, I will be, I would say, a prominent team member of somebody going through those type of transformation.
Okay, okay. And that's why this podcast is called The Power of Beliefs. Is you're like, yeah, like you talked about the TEDx talk or just speaking in front of people. You say, I'm great. I have something that people want to hear. And you go through what you call the peel back, and then you got to rewire, and
Yeah.
then you have to rise. Now, I love something you said about I don't take myself seriously,
No.
but I take my work seriously.
Yeah.
Unpack that a little bit for mine, because a lot of
Yeah.
us take ourselves seriously.
Yes. And in my work, in my line of work, I'd say there's a fine line. There's a fine line where I feel, and I don't want to criticize, it's not about criticizing anybody, but let's say my posture is to say, I am one way. I
Hmm.
know what I do work, and I know that I have helped, hundreds of people.
Sure.
And my clients, I mean, 70 to 75% of my clients are referrals. They're people sending me. And when I have a CEO sending me after his employees and his other people, like, you know, I, I have no doubt about the work that I do, but I'm not the only thing on this planet that exists to help people. And I'm not right for everybody as well, and
Right.
every
Get
situation
it.
as well. So that's why I don't take myself seriously in that term. Like, and I like humor. So in the sessions we laugh a lot. Like, we don't, there are moments where we cry, but there are moments where we laugh, right?
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that's why the work itself is very serious. It's very like, I'm 100% focused and dedicated to the client who's in front of me, and I give the best of everything I am and everything I know and everything I embody. But as a professional, I don't take myself too seriously. I don't talk about my work all the time outside of work. When I was in the corporate world, that's all I had.
That's all you
It's no
talked about.
longer, yeah, it's no longer my identity. This is what I
Hmm.
do in life,
Hmm.
but I am me as well. And I
Yeah,
find that since I have found that balance, I have a much more complete life. So
yeah,
that's why I say I don't take
that's
myself
good.
seriously.
So not so burnt out like you were.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not burnt
Okay.
out, but I have lots of energy.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. If you could give your 20-year-old self one belief as a gift, something that would have changed everything about you, what would it have been?
It would be you're important, because the first belief that I uncovered when I did hypnosis was I had the belief that I was not important. And that led me to all kinds of emotions, would lead me to all kinds of action. And when I mean important, it's not in an egoistic way.
Mhm.
I'm more important than anybody. Is
Right.
I matter, right? It's more like I matter. I'm important. I matter. And I had the belief that I didn't matter. that I was not important. So at 20 years old, if I could switch that early in my life, um, I think I would have a much more enriched human experience.
So that was before people said it's something about you. You don't have your papers, but we're going to hire you. Was that
Yeah,
before that?
even if they would say that to me, there were parts of me with that bit of an imposter syndrome where I would say, well, if they really knew who I was, they wouldn't say that. But
Mhm.
but I love challenged, and I had some capabilities and capacities and energy and passion, and I had that addicted people have kind of a passion and energy when they zoom on something and they do want to get something done. They have that capacity, right, before they go too deep into their addiction. But
Mhm.
so I had that, but I had the underlying unconscious belief.
Mhm.
Really, it was running deep, very unconsciously, that I didn't matter.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Before we talk about what I want you to talk about your call to action. But I'm not really. I want my listeners to be somewhat clear about when the rug was pulled from under you. You kind of lost your identity because you were part of the brand. And so there are people now that have been laid off, they're looking for opportunities. What advice would you tell them how do they move forward with that?
So I would say three steps. The first one is really to have a team around you.
Okay.
So don't do that on your own.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Have a team around you, right? Identify what your needs are. If your needs are, I know I'm in the right domain, but let's say I'm a veterinarian. I know I'm in the right domain, but I don't know what type of practice I want, or I want to totally change what I'm doing in life. So whatever it is, the health, I need to go back in shape. I need to, whatever,
Okay.
identify what your needs are, what
Okay.
you care about. What is it that you care about, right?
Okay.
And then look at what is the way, what is the mean, who can help me for this thing, and then be clear with that person. I'm I lost my job and I want to reposition in myself into that industry. How can you help me?
Mhm.
Like ask for help. State
Okay.
clearly what you're looking to accomplish and ask people, can you help me or not? If the person cannot help you, that's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
When
Okay.
I did that transformation, I was telling people, okay, I stopped drinking, I'm sober. This is the most important thing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
How can you help me? You're a nutritionist, you're a personal trainer, you're a massage therapist. How can you help me? And if you
Mm-hmm.
can't, that's fine, right? And it was the same. Like then I became a consultant for a little while, and then I became go and experience things. I would say don't look for the next perfect opportunity. Like just allow yourself to try things and to be curious and to
Okay.
tell your subconscious mind, I'm open now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
open now to try new things. But have a team around you is very important.
Okay.
And then the second thing is to action every day. So let's
Mm-hmm.
say you lost employment, you want to redefine your next step. So one thing I say to people to do is to go on job postings, print them, and then just don't highlight the title, don't highlight the skills, just highlight the task and just highlight what excites you. Or when I see traveling, I'm excited. When I
Mm-hmm.
see I don't know, when I see coordinating, I'm excited. When I see budget, I'm excited. When I see overseas, I'm excited. Whatever it is, and just start to tell your subconscious mind those things matters to me, those
Mm-hmm.
things are relevant to me. And then you're going to start to see things around you that are often already there that you don't even know. It's already
Mm-hmm.
there. talk to people, go to lunch with people, ask them questions about what they do, about the company or about the project that they work on. Be curious.
Okay. Right. So in other words, you need people to help unpeel what it is that you want to do, because it's like, well, can you help me? Well, I don't know. Well, first of all, help. What do you want to do? Like yours was one, you wanted to stop drinking. One is, I don't know, get out of this rut, and then you have to dig a little deeper to get an understanding of who it is that you want to be on your team.
When I work with people for their career, what I say is this: 3 things is going to happen from our work together. Either you're going to say, I'm at the right place, I just didn't have the right thoughts or the right belief. Now that I have changed my belief, I realize I'm at the right place. It's the right job for me. Or you're going to realize I'm at the right place, but I need to renegotiate certain things. Or you're going to say, this is not for me. But the next step is, you don't want to run away from where you are. If you're still employed, you want to go towards. So then we look at, again, in your subconscious mind, what is the path for you? What does it look like? Where are you going to go towards instead of running?
Okay. Well, you have a call to action that I love. And I would tell my listeners, if you're a high achiever, or either you just feel something is missing, are they able to book a free call with you?
Yes.
Tell them about that. Tell them a little bit about that.
So you can book a free call. There's a pre-questionnaire that gives me an idea, and then we just talk like you and I just talk now. And we talk about, what is your issue, what is your challenge, what you're trying to accomplish, and we see, am I the right person for you or not? If not, what other avenues could you explore? My base program is really 5 sessions, and I see you every 2 to 3 weeks. It's a 2 to 3 hour session. We go really deep, and that's really my base program. And most people enter through this door. And then after that, we decide on 6 months, a year, depending on, on what the needs are. Some people, the 5 sessions are just enough to solve what they needed to solve. But I love those free calls because I get to connect with people.
Okay, good.
Sometimes I'm the right person, sometimes not. But whatever it is, it's always good to get to know people.
Excellent. Well, how can my listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, hypnocoach.ca. That's my website.
Say that again.
Yeah, hypnocoach.ca.
Oh, Hypno, HYPNO.
No, sorry. HYPNOCOACH.
Okay, Hypno Coach.
Yes.
Okay.
With my accent, hypnocoach.ca for Canada. And so they can sign up to my newsletter. They can book the free call right from there.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, JT, hey listeners, I told JT when we came on, I'm like, I started to just book a call with her since it's complimentary. I did not, but it doesn't say I will not. So just for the record, I thought that was funny. I was like, wow. Well, JT, it was my pleasure to speak with you. You brought in a modality that I don't think many of our listeners, they may have heard of it, but you gave them a more in-depth. You talked about the peel back, the rewire, the rise, and the methodology that you take them through to get to where they are. So for those listeners who listen to the end of this podcast, first of all, I'm honored. And I thank you for doing that. And also, I would love for you to hit like and subscribe, because if you thought this was good, keep it moving, because the others are going to be just as good. And it's going to give you what I call an opportunity on how to move forward beyond what has you stuck. So again, JT, thank you so much. And my listeners, as I always say, God bless you and bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.